So my husband and I recently moved into a new home, and since I work out of home practically all the time, it also meant that I get to do up a completely new studio space of my own. Hey there and welcome back to the channel. My name is Shivani and I'm an artist and entrepreneur based in the sunny city of Chennai in the south of India. So like I said, I moved recently and that also involved doing up a completely new studio space, and I was determined to make it the best that I possibly could, and I wanted my space to be a reflection of my personality and also a space that really inspires me to create. It involved a lot of really understanding what I want from my space and what I'm like when I work and what would be the best ways to make this space as functional as it could be while also being very aesthetic. I'm somebody who's always been very drawn to white, especially in spaces, probably not as much in the clothes I wear or anything else, but in spaces and in photography, I really love white because it just brings so much brightness, and it also gives you chances to add accents. Whenever you add anything else that's not white into a white space, I feel like it just gets highlighted a lot better, and that object which is not white or which is of any color, it really takes on a whole different life when it's put into a space that's otherwise very white. So that's one thing that ended up with me just keeping all of my furniture very white, and also my curtains, I kept them in a really light color. So the other aspect of the whole white thing was that I did have a lot of struggles in my previous studio when I needed to shoot. I would often not get enough light coming into the room, and I find that in this room, firstly, it's amazing because I have two windows now. So I have one window which is on the left of where I'm sitting right now, which is an east window, so the sunrise happens right there. And then I have one window in front of me, which is a south window. So I also get to see the sunset on that side, which is firstly very beautiful to see every single day, especially when it's not cloudy. And it also means that I now have light coming in from two directions, and they're quite undisturbed in the sense that I don't have any other buildings immediately in front of me that blocks the light. So I get a lot of direct sunlight coming in, which is beautiful. We're going into rainy weather, so the light has been a little off lately, but the beauty is that even when it's not that sunny a day, I still get a decent amount of light coming in because of the two windows on both sides. That was something that was really important to me, which is why I picked this room in the house for my studio. One downside of this space compared to my previous space that I have to mention is that we're now living just off a really busy main road, so there's a lot more background sounds and traffic noises. So I apologize for that in case you're able to hear any of it. So now talking about my actual setup of the space, I earlier had just this one desk which is about 5 feet wide, and I had my monitor on it, and I would keep my laptop on it, and then I would kind of move things aside and also paint on the same desk. I would record my videos on the same desk, so it got a bit much after a point. So this time I decided, because I do have the space for it, I decided to invest in one more desk like these. I really love these desks. You get similar desks with Ikea, but if you're in India, I would recommend checking out this homegrown brand called Desku. None of this is sponsored, by the way, I wish it was, but I'm going to be leaving all the links and the brand names for some of the stuff I used for my decor, because hopefully it might help you out. So I ordered one more table like this, which is 6 feet wide, and that is now my work desk. So now I have a work desk where I have my monitor at all times. I've put my monitor onto this little shelf ledge thing, which is also from Desku, and that's great because at the end of the day, once I close my laptop, I can kind of just neatly slide it under the monitor. I also store my notebooks at the end of the day in this shelf. It helps me keep my space really neat and tidy at all times, which I really like. I get into these moods where when I'm feeling like my desk is too messy, and by the way, I've kept everything really messy for this video just so you understand what it's actually like on a typical day. Today it's like 2 p.m. while I'm shooting this, so this is what my desk looks midday during work. So like I was saying, sometimes I get really bothered by the mess of it all and it doesn't allow me to think clearly, so I really like being able to tidy my desk very easily. Anyway, so I can easily swivel over from my work desk to my art desk, which is this desk right here, and this desk I can easily use either my swivel chair to just swivel over to the other side of the desk from where I'm sitting right now, or I have this chair here at all times, and this is where I would be recording most of my video content. I also have this Montmartre drawing board, which has been really helpful, especially when I've been painting intricate work, to just kind of prop it up so that I don't have to bend my neck too much. I've been getting these chronic neck and shoulder pains, so that's been really helpful, and I think I've been able to make use of it really well in this space because I can prop it up here and I'm getting light coming in from two directions, and I can even use it from the other direction of this table like I told you before. So that way I'm able to make use of that, and it's been very helpful with my whole neck pain situation. Now this corner window which I have has this little nook where I also sit for my morning coffee sometimes, which I love so much, and I put up this really pretty curtain which I got from another indie brand. This whole process has been so great with discovering new brands that I love and that inspire me, and this has also been created by an artist whose style I really admire. So I think this entire space I wanted to add things that have some meaning and a story behind them for me, because every time I look at something in this room there's a story behind it, and that just keeps me really inspired at all times. Now beside that curtain I have these Ikea open shelves. On these shelves I keep my markers for my whiteboard, which is right next to this, and I keep a few books that I love referring to, along with my printer cum scanner, so it's really easy. Again, that's right behind my work desk, so I can just sort of swivel my chair over and use my printer very easily. In the corner I have these other two Ikea shelves again, which I mounted onto the wall. That has a bit of my art supplies like my brushes, because I don't want them to be on this table at all times. Sometimes I might just be sketching. I don't want to clutter the desk too much. I like it being as neat as it can possibly be. So that's a great place because it's literally right here. So once I'm done painting, I can just pick up these things and put them up there. Usually I have even these two little things placed on that rack, and this has like a few things like my erasers and little bits and bobs like that. This has a few pens and my scrap pieces of paper on which I do my swatching. So all of this just goes onto that shelf very neatly, very easily, and keeps my desk as neat as it can be, because I'm also going to be shooting videos here and I just don't want too much of a clutter happening. On this wall right behind me I have these beautiful frames and pieces of art which aren't done by me, but they just inspire me a lot. They're in this sort of vintage botanical illustration sort of style, which is one of my major inspirations or references to things that I love, is this whole Indian Mughal art inspired work, and I love vintage botanicals. So these are things that just fuel me, and when I look at it, it's just, again, there's a story. It makes me feel something and makes me inspired to create. So that's why I filled this wall, and it also makes a lovely backdrop for YouTube. If you look at my previous videos, definitely this is a huge upgrade from that. Now on the wall to my right here, it's very white aside from the cupboard that I have there. So I just decorated it with a little decal, which is from the same brand from where I got my curtains, Kalakari Haath. Again, love their work, and they're also very inspired by native Indian Indian art forms. So it's just something really pretty on that wall, while also giving me something that's creatively stimulating for me. The cupboard that I have here just has my files, my old notebooks. Once I'm done with notebooks, I keep them all in there. I've stored every notebook that I've ever brainstormed in over the last 5-6 years. Just a few other random things. And right beside me here is my Ikea Alex drawer unit. It's great because I'm able to segregate all of my art supplies, my shooting equipment. This entire video, by the way, was inspired by another artist, Kelsey Rodriguez. She just created a studio tour, and I realized she has the same drawer unit as me. In fact, another artist I follow on Instagram also has the same drawer unit, which inspired me to get it. So I think overall it just seems to be something that a lot of artists seem to go for because it's just very functional. It makes it easy to just separate your things. So I have on my top drawer all of my palettes. I have lots and lots of palettes. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to palettes, but to be fair, I use all of them at some point or the other. So I have all my palettes there, and my second drawer has sketchbooks. The third drawer has loose paper packs or paper blocks, and the fourth drawer has all of my shooting equipment and also my wires, my chargers. So once I'm done with them, I just put them in there, again in the spirit of keeping the place as neat as I possibly can. The fifth drawer has all of my other painting supplies. So there's a box with my gouache in it. There are my watercolors, my oil pastels, my regular gouache palette. I did a whole video on setting up my palette, by the way. You can check it out right here. But that palette is on my desk at all times. I keep it in a Ziploc because it's really hot here in Chennai, and it just is very easy for the paint to dry out. But this is my gouache palette with all of my colors. This is usually on my desk, so but even if I need to, I just put it into that fifth drawer that I mentioned. And my final drawer has a lot of my finished artwork, the ones that aren't already sold or in display somewhere in my house. So a lot of my finished artwork is kept there, and yeah, it just keeps me well organized as I can be. It's not the neatest, but I think it does the job, and I'm happy with that. So that's pretty much it. I'm so happy with how the entire studio turned out, and I'm just happy with the vibe of the place and how it makes me feel and how it makes me want to create more. That's exactly what I set out to do with this space, and I just love the light. But let me know in the comments what your favorite part about the studio was. I'm leaving a lot of info in the description about where I got some of the stuff in case you're interested in checking it out. All of my art supplies, as always, are from Hindustan Trading Company, and you can get 10% off with code Shivani10 when you shop from their online store. So if you want to know all about my gouache supplies that I use in my work on a daily basis, be sure to watch this video right here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next week in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel below so that you don't miss it. Bye.